All right.
We are live. Welcome.
Welcome.
This is Lamar,
And this is Angela.
and welcome to our channel. This is our virtual home. We want to welcome you for it's the first of the month. You don't even remember that song, do you?
No.
Oh, see, if you remember that song, Bone Thugs and Harmony, drop a like in the comments down below. I mean, come on now. What, sir? But anywho, welcome to our channel. We are so thankful and glad that you stopped by our virtual home. We want to welcome you, and we want to welcome some of our other participants who are going to be coming on to talk with you this evening. Listen, this topic right here,
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be a good one. So I'm glad you are. And can you do me a favor? Take some time right now. If you're watching it live or if you're watching it on the rebroadcast, right down below, right down there, there is a like button and a subscribe button. You can do both.
Yep.
And we encourage you to do both because we have other videos that we want to make sure you get notified on when we drop another video.
Right.
So this is my sweetheart, Lamar.
Yeah.
We've been married for, let's see. Don't let me get in trouble.
You're going to get in trouble.
I'm sorry.
It'll be 19 years this year. So.
I'm the one. It's me.
Yeah.
But we've been together more than that, way more than that, over 20.
Yeah.
And so we are a couple with 3 kids, 27, 18,
and
16.
16, soon to be
or
17.
soon to be 17.
Yep.
My baby.
And 2 dogs.
2 dogs.
Yeah. One is 17 years old.
Also 17.
Lucky, and Candy is 9.
Is 9. And we last year, in July of last year, actually, we left on our belongings left on Juneteenth.
Right.
We decided to move out of our beautiful life in the Washington, D.C. area, in the DMV area, and uproot everything we had and know to begin new lives here in Querétaro, Mexico. Where's Querétaro, Mexico? Yeah, I'm sure you're probably asking. Querétaro is about 3 hours north of Mexico City,
right,
in the mountain plains. And we decided to bring our kids and our dogs, packed up everything, got rid of everything else, and had the things that we really loved shipped here and started over.
Yep.
So we're talking today on whether that decision process was a midlife crisis or was it a
midlife reboot?
Yeah. So we want to talk with you about it, and we've got some other folks on the line here who's going to join in and give their commentary about it too. And so we're really excited about this topic because for a lot of people who are expats or who become expats, and especially if you're in your middle age, because if you're a backpacker and just kind of biker dude and, just graduating from college or something like that, just deciding I'm going to move abroad and I'm going to travel the world. And I'm going to
be a nomad and wander.
Right. It's allowed. But for us who are middle age,
I don't have a problem saying it because I'm thankful for every day that I'm here.
I am too.
For sure.
But for those of us who are of a certain age, making a decision like that, especially when you have kids and a life and a successful career and all that kind of stuff, people will look at you like you have grown horns out the side of your head.
Family, friends, they will look at you strange and say, what in the world are you doing that for? And then some will even, you really meant that? You want to do that?
Yeah.
You're not coming back home? No.
That part.
Yeah. No, not coming back home.
Right.
As a man said in Harlem Nights, baby, I ain't coming. Tell your mama I ain't coming back
home.
Tell
your mama.
I ain't coming back home.
Not coming back. Right.
I ain't coming back home.
But in order to get to that point, in order to get to that phase and stage, there was a process.
Yeah. There are things that had to happen to have God order of steps, and he had to push. Sometimes he had to shove. Sometimes he had to kick me in my butt.
That part.
To get me to understand that this ain't the place for you and you need to move.
Right.
And when he puts things in place and closes doors, nothing you can do to knock that door down or open it. You don't have the right key. You don't have the right password, nothing. So
yeah, really. So for you, do you feel like it was in any part of this process, it was a midlife crisis, or was it for you a reset, reboot?
It was a reboot. Midlife crisis to me is something where somebody's having difficulty with their identity, their self-esteem, who they are, what they're going to be. It's not that. This is a reboot in order to fix things that were broken or not going well. And so that, for me as a computer tech and been all my life in IT support and a system administrator, sometimes when the system is not working correctly, sometimes you have to revert.
You have to kick it with your foot.
You have to.
That's what I do.
Mm-hmm. You have to shut it down and reboot.
Yeah.
And so that's what this is. There are things that were broken, things that weren't working right, and we had to reboot.
Yeah.
It wasn't God wasn't going to allow it to be a crisis, I don't think. And it wasn't a crisis.
Now, see, that's very interesting that you say that, sweetheart. That's very interesting that you say that, because I think it was a mixture. For me, it was a mixture of both. It started off, now, if we're completely transparent, I was thinking about this round about 2010.
Yeah.
2010.
Yeah.
Wondering, what is the rest of where are we going? What's going on? What is my career doing? What are we doing here? Not even me. What is this what I want to do? Is this how I want to go? Is this how, and honestly, where a big portion of it came forward for me was really seeing my dad and some other persons and friends retire or get to the place of retirement. There was one of my girlfriends, her dad, may he rest in peace. He was such a faithful employee. He worked for, I forgot how many, it was like 40 years or so for the Postal Service. 40 years for the Postal Service, never missed a day. And his big thing for when I retire is going to be to go to Vegas. I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm going to Vegas as soon as I retire. And I'm like, Vegas? All right. I mean, the food's good there. Yeah, the food, but Vegas? Okay. And he retired, and then like 2 days after, or two days or 2 weeks or so after, was dead.
Yeah.
Never got to go to Vegas. That shook me.
Yeah.
That shook me. That shook me, because I was like, wow, we could really be out here seriously working all your life to get to the place that you would retire and then
drop dead. Yeah, there were people at the job where I was, where people were dying, literally not on the job, but while still working. And I would see the memorials put in the webpage where these men and women were dying, and it's like, ooh.
So for me,
cool.
It was a sense of, what do I want my life to look like?
Yeah.
What do I want my life to look like? So for me, it was a little bit of a crisis, if you want to call it that. But let's bring some more folks in on this conversation. So right now we're going to bring on Herman and Dee. We're going to add Herman and Dee to the stream.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? What's up? What's going on? You guys are muted.
There we go.
Yeah,
there you go.
I was trying to make sure we didn't laugh out too loud in the background.
I know, right? We want to bring another couple in on this, because our channel likes to focus on the couple side of being an expat. You see lots of people who are out there single and doing it and living their best life, but not too often do you see happily married couples who are in on it. So we want to make sure we bring Herman and Dee in on it from their channel, H&D Abroad. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to their channel as well.
Right.
All right.
Yep.
So what do you think? What do you guys think? Midlife crisis or midlife reboot?
Well, for me, let's see. So we are, we're hitting 50 this year. And we're as psychology majors from college, I really pay attention to how the language sits me in the process. Midlife crisis feels like something that happens to me. Midlife reboot is an intentional action to bring life and not take it away. And so we've been kind of on that journey anyway. And so the move abroad is really falling into a process that has things from far back, but it is with intention to incorporate that joy, that rebirth, that renewal at a time in our lives when we're not at retirement, but we are fully engaged, energetic human beings.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That
As
part.
you can see, she's smarter than me. So we have had so many challenges over the 24 years, almost 24 years we've been married, of things that have been on us, done to us, that I wanted to try to take a look at this life before this became a crisis.
Right.
My mother's father had Alzheimer's. My mother has Alzheimer's. She was not retired when symptoms happened and we didn't realize it.
Wow.
So luckily my parents have done extensive traveling because my father was an old country boy from Georgia, and seeing the world was a part of his we have to do because he was from a small confined space.
Right.
So he made sure they traveled the world, but their retirement years are him taking care of her.
Oh.
Wow.
With that potential life health legacy, I needed us to be free now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're looking at our chase the world because I can't be promised it'll skip me.
Right.
I can't
Exactly.
I can't be promised it'll skip me. I can't be promised it won't happen to her.
And because my dad's mom passed at 56.
Wow.
And so when I look at, the self-care, the things, but why wait? That's really what is in our heart is, before I met Stephanie and Rashida and Adelia, it was 65, 67. That's something to do in the future. But, we're in a community of people saying, why not now? Why not? And so the way the world is, and I talk about the gift of the pandemic, we had a lot of tragedy. We were aware of things happening in the world, but, I work for an employer that is in many places, but wasn't really open to doing things like working abroad. I mean, not working abroad, but working remote now.
Right.
You can't tell me we've been home 3 years that I can't.
See, that's the
productivity.
He's been triggered. Easy.
Because when you've got people working from home, not missing assignments, things getting done, and then the boss says, "Okay, it's time for you to come back in the office." What for? For what? Has any work been missed?
No.
Has anything gone astray?
No.
So why am I coming in? And it's come down really for them, it's a trust issue. If Johnny's sitting over in the corner playing Gallagher or playing solitaire, and Bill walks by and says, "Oh, there's Johnny. Oh, cool, he's here." Well, Johnny's not getting anything done.
Yeah.
But for Bill, it's ooh, he's here. I feel better.
I was actually more productive when I got a chance to work from home.
Absolutely.
And they have to realize that they are getting way more product because unfortunately, and this is the downside of it, is there's no walk away from the job.
Right.
At home now, you're always at work.
Right.
Your computer is always open. The screen is always you. In the middle of the night, her computer's closed up. Everything is in another room, and I can hear the
ring
all night long. And my reboot is because I want to have my girl to myself.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
You know what? And that is so. We are here.
Right.
Here.
Yeah.
My mom had. Well, first of all, my father died in 2017. He had a rare form of 2018, actually. Yeah. He had a rare form of Parkinson's called corticobasal degeneration. Then around about that time that my dad was really getting sick and he had to be put in hospice and all that kind of thing, my mom started having some symptoms, and then turns out she has Parkinson's. So me and my siblings are looking at each other like, is this genetic?
Mhm.
And if so, I don't want to waste, as they call it, waste the pretty.
Right.
You know, good years. I want to be able to experience the things that I want to experience with an able body. I don't want to have to drag around a walker when I want to go to Rio.
Yeah.
You know, or
I want to break the what does it say? Youth is wasted on the young.
right.
Hey, I'm 50 this year, but I'm not old.
Right.
Yeah.
While there's a little bit of I can still climb two flights of stairs.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, all of our parents are gone. My mom passed in 2015, and if I listed off all the illnesses, she had scleroderma, she had pulmonary hypertension, she had hypertension, she had lupus, she had rheumatoid arthritis.
Yes.
So she was, living, every day taking, 12, 15 pills, medications a day. And then
a concentrator,
she also had, the nasal cannula, she had concentrator. And then my dad, she was his cover because we weren't paying attention, but he had dementia.
Yeah.
So, she died in 2015. My dad died in early 2020. And again, like you guys were talking about, is it going to skip me? Am I going to end up with lupus, scleroderma, pulmonary hypertension, or even dementia?
Yeah.
So, I want to live life and hopefully maybe even prevent some of these things through diet and exercise.
Yeah.
That, with removing certain things, from the diet as far as preservatives and things like that in the food, that maybe things will change in my body or not be triggered in my body that's genetically, predisposed.
Right.
That I will be able to live into, as my grandmother did. She was 100 when she passed.
Right.
My father's oldest sister just recently passed. She was 98.
Right. So we're hoping these Martins have long genes.
and there's the other side of that hope. My father's mother is 94 this year. And my wife's great grandmother died at 105.
Wow.
And so there's hope.
Yeah.
But it also requires a heart adjustment on our side, not just a life adjustment, a heart adjustment. We've been making dietary changes forever, but realizing still we're eating food that's made here, grown here, processed here.
Right.
Fertilized here.
Yeah.
Processed.
So part of that move abroad search for us is to be in a place where we can tap into this ground is less contaminated currently.
Right.
At the very least, currently.
Or this water isn't as
right.
Or the pollution levels. I mean, when we look at the videos, like you guys are out on your porch, your first live, and
so jealous.
we're you guys hear the what is it, the roosters, right. That's the living that we'd have to go really far out to kind of be
Yeah.
out in the country. We want
And
to
that's
grow.
funny because there's a farm down the street from us. So that means for us to have to go even further, that says a lot about how quickly it's growing.
We want to grow vegetables. We want a lifestyle that doesn't require much of our day to be, what time is it? What day
Right.
is it?
Right.
More.
Right. Okay, so we're going to add to this conversation. We want to bring on another couple. Because I love this couple energy.
Right.
I love
Right.
this couple energy.
Right.
Because when we first were looking for, or just even exploring the idea or having the conversation or starting to have the conversations, we were like, where are the other couples?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Where are there any other couples? And there were hardly any other couples. So we're so excited to bring on two more people. We want to bring on Holly and Sean from Island Time Adventures. Hey, Holly. Hey, Sean. I see you're muted, but what's up, y'all? What's up, fam?
Yep.
What's going on? Can you hear us?
You're muted.
Yep.
Wow,
you're
we're
muted.
muted. Hey. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Good. Hey, how are you guys? I just love this black love that's just on the screen. The black love.
Yes, absolutely.
So how are you guys doing? And so tell us a little bit, tell our viewers a little bit more about yourselves and Island Time Adventures, what your channel is all about. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
So we're a married couple living in Tampa, Florida with a 7-year-old son. We've been married for 9 years.
No, almost not. Yeah,
9 years, living in Tampa for 10 years. And we always knew before we got married, when we first got together in like 2012, I told Sean, I don't want to live in the United States. I don't know when I want to move, but that's why we're in Florida. We moved to Florida so that we would have a place to, like a base, so that we could easily get to the Caribbean, South America, so that we could scope out different islands we wanted to live on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And now we've settled on Thailand. So not close at all, but we're moving
Thailand.
at the
Wow.
Yes. As soon as our son finishes school, we're off. We're on a plane. We're gone.
Now your son is 7, you said?
Yes.
Right. So that was one of the other questions that we talked about.
Right.
What are some of the places that you were considering? For us, I think Mexico was, no. Let me take it back.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first place I was talking about?
It was Medellin, Colombia.
No, before that.
It was in
The
Africa.
Dominican Republic. Actually, you're right.
Republic.
No, you're
It
right.
was South Africa.
You're right. It was South Africa. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I
And
did.
then the Dominican Republic.
Then
and
it was the Dominican.
Medellin,
Then
Colombia.
it was Medellin.
And then after that,
I didn't have any place after that. I was like,
so
where do you want to go?
Right.
Just wherever you want to go.
But at that point, I wasn't even on board with that. That's one of the videos where she was trying to convince me, but life has a tendency to convince. You know, she was talking to me, but life, as she would say, life was lifing.
Life was lifing, y'all.
And it became very apparent that the American dream wasn't what it actually is. I'm not going to go on my soapbox because we'd be on a long talk.
Easy.
And I mentioned in the live with Herman about a housing situation, and Angie said, you know, they may misinterpret that as something.
Yeah, because you were vague.
Yeah, but you know, when you're dealing with,
we're going to have a story time, like I said. We're going to have a story time about that whole experience.
When you're dealing with people who lack character and integrity. When we were going into a house deal where the house could not be sold and we didn't know it, but we'll go into detail in the story. And the blessing in that is that it enabled my wife to finish up her doctorate. Because she didn't have to work because it wasn't.
You're telling the story.
So, but it also was traumatic.
Yeah.
because you don't expect us as Black folk to do us like that, but that's what happened.
Well,
And so, but then after that, it was a whole host of things. One of the blessings that happened was God ordering our steps, but he ordered them in a way that we didn't even know. But I had a feeling the job I was on.
yeah, God has a way
Yeah.
of letting you know when it's time for you to go.
Yeah,
And he will make that nest so uncomfortable, start shutting down opportunities, shutting down doors to
Right.
make you turn and go this way. That's the way that I want you to go.
Right.
He'll go click, click, nope, click, click. And you're like, well, wait a minute. This normally would work, but no, that's not the way that I want you to go. And so ultimately I'm thankful for all of the chaos that ensued, because if it wasn't for that chaos,
it turned into fuel.
Oh yeah,
It
Thank you for
turned
the fuel, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you for the fuel. If you're
It turned into
watching,
fuel.
thank you for the fuel.
Yes. So it made it easier for me to make that decision, and I kept telling Angie. She kept saying, "You don't." I said, "Well, we have to.
Yeah,
we have to." With the political climate, all those kind of things in the United States.
We did look at those types of things. What were some of the places that you and Dee, what were some of the places you guys were deciding about?
Well, I'm a Florida boy. So as a Florida boy, I grew up in, cultural diversity. I came here to Alabama to go to school 30 years ago. Jesus. and
Met a girl.
And Alabama is not always as diverse as I would like. The city that we live in, I know, right? And to that point, the city that we live in is NASA works from out of here. And when we were here in school, it was mostly just the military. It's now contractors, but even with all the people here from all the places they are, we talk about like the very few places we go out to eat. It's like there's Mexican, there's pizza. Yeah. It's like there are people here from all over the world. So when we talked about moving, of course, we had two different sets of. Immediately, I was like, if I'm going to start looking somewhere, I'm looking in Africa. I want to start in Africa. If I'm going to put my eyes on some places, where did I come from? Because cultural diversity, cultural heritage is a part of what I'm growing into even more. My culinary food path as a chef is changing into what is the history of our foods. Are we sick because we're the only people not connected to the roots of our food? If you go to an Indian's house, they got Indian food. If you go to a Chinese home, they got Chinese food. If you go to a Jamaican's home, they got Jamaican food. You go to an African American's home, we got some stuff that looks like stuff we used to eat.
Right.
But we bought it at the store. We fried it. We cooked it. Then it just had us started someplace completely different.
Look, and that's really why I started off reaching out to Holly, because before the pandemic, it was Thailand. I mean, like I was all about Southeast Asia. I was like, if it's not Thailand, it's going to be Indonesia. If it's not Indonesia, we're talking, Vietnam, Cambodia. Like I want to be in places that really mirror respect and family and a slower pace of life and a lower cost of living. And so I really started binging a lot of that in probably start 2016, 2017, 2018, but just never had a path for trying to make it happen. We just were having these conversations about where in the world could we go if we ever had the chance.
And now we're chasing everything from Mexico south, everything from Panama south. We got visas in Mexico. We're still looking at Panama some. We're looking at
almost
Ecuador.
Feel overwhelmed because
the world is big.
I mean, so why choose? But we did Mexico's visa process because it could be done. It could be done quickly, and I think,
And it's close by.
and it's close by.
Yeah.
So we always want to have a base, a home base outside of the U.S. And I think that was good to start and kind of start stretching that move abroad muscle.
But Holly and Sean, y'all are talking Thailand. You go with your bad selves. What? How did you come across Thailand? How did that land on your radar?
We originally were looking at Mexico too. We wanted something hot, tropical.
Oh,
You know, same with the family values, respect for elders, high quality of fruits and vegetables. And Mexico just at the time wasn't working out for us. So we kind of thought, well, let's go back and spend another year working on our Mexico plan. And then in the meantime, we started following some YouTube channels that were dedicated to life in Thailand. And we were like, we think that for us, Mexico was like us playing it safe. It's close. We could drive down there if we wanted to. Something was going on with our family. We could get back quickly. But then in early January, we found out that my dad had an illness, and we didn't find out until he had been in the hospital for almost a week.
wow. Oh, no.
We didn't find out till he had been there for almost a week. So while we were sitting and feeling guilty that we already don't live very close, it didn't matter.
Right.
And like you talked about earlier, here's someone who's dedicated their life to service, dedicated their life to their career.
Right.
And now at a time where they have plenty of money to do anything they want in life,
right,
their health is in jeopardy.
That part.
So it really was like, no, we need to make a decision now. We're not waiting any longer. Where do we really, really, really want to go? What's on our bucket list? Let's go. Let's find a way to make it work.
I feel you.
And we agreed on Thailand. And as soon as we agreed on it, as soon as we said it out loud to each other, it was like
It happened.
a level of excitement that we hadn't felt about any other place that we had talked about. Because we had talked about Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Bahamas, Ecuador.
Peru.
Oh, but when Thailand came up as a discussion, it was like,
Yeah.
that's it.
And
Let's go.
it wasn't even too much to even look on. We watched the YouTube channel, The Vagabond was the person who was watching, and just everything that he kept going over, it spoke pretty clearly to us. And just from there, just everything. What gates open, we're like, this is what we need to do. We need to go here. This is the perfect place, and especially for our son. And the things that we already like to do and love to do, this is the perfect place for it. So yeah, Thailand was almost a no-brainer for us to do this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you know, that part is so critical, at least or finding some place that you resonate with is half the battle, really.
Yeah.
A place that kind of sparks your intrigue and makes you go, oh, you know, I wonder. And I wish more African-American couples, I wish more, just more African-Americans, period, had their passport and could travel outside the world and go see all kinds of other stuff. Because one of the things that I remember hearing, or at least when we came out of the closet to tell folks that we're moving to Mexico, was this whole Mexico.
Right.
You remember that lady at the Jared place?
Yeah.
Went to get my rent clean.
Yeah.
She was like, why are you going? You're moving to Mexico? I was like, ma'am, don't worry.
She's never been. She's never been. And all they think is, well, don't all the Mexicans want to come here? No, they don't.
No.
Holly, you know who we see on the road on the way up here are citizens or people from Ecuador, from down in South America, trying to leave from oppression down there, and they're passing through Mexico to come to the United States.
Right. A lot of the Mexicans that we know are proud
Right.
to be Mexican and have no intention, no thought, no desire to come to your country with all that crime.
Right.
So when you're in Mexico, you can see why they would not want to come here, right?
absolutely.
Like the ghetto of the United States.
Right.
Yeah, when I'm in Mexico, I'm at peace.
Yes.
So gorgeous. The people are so warm. Everything is so beautiful.
Yes.
It's like they're not trying to come here. But that's what the Americans have been conditioned to see on TV, right? Like that they're doing everything they can to get over here and take our jobs. That narrative is so tired. And when you hear someone speak it, you just know they've never been. And it's just like, okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things I talked about in the live with Herman is the toxicity of the United States and how the media wants to twist the story about these great people here in this country.
Right.
They're hardworking. They hustle. They, get after it. I mean, we see them out there. The handyman that comes here, he does multiple jobs. He does all kinds of stuff. And he says, one of the things that stuck with me, he said it in Spanish. He says, never give up. Never quit. And that's his edict every day, is that he's constantly on his grind.
Man, listen, I respect their hustle. They work hard. I respect it. I respect it.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to, we got some folks that are watching. What's up, Exodus Life? Another beautiful Black couple in the building.
Yeah.
What's going on with you? Yes, indeed.
Great.
And Benny Wimbro. There we go. Hello from Greetings from Texas. Hello, indeed. And from Oakland, Nubia Net. What's up, girl?
Right.
What's up? What's up? What's up from Oakland? We see you in the house. We see you in the building. So I want to also, when we were talking about the process of coming out, I call it coming out of the closet. I'm not trying to offend any of our LGBTQIA folk or what have you, but it really felt like we were moving in silence for us. We moved in silence because we didn't want to hear all that yap. So for you guys, did you have, how many people, or have you even discussed this idea with your family and extended friends? And if so, what did they say? Because you
quickly learn the lesson. All your folk not with you.
Hello.
Okay? They're not with you. It was important for us to share with our parents and with our siblings and in-laws, because we had to tell them. We're the oldest, so of our families, and we are going to have to take a different role in caring for our parents. And so we had to disclose, and we had to be pretty solid on our why. Outside of that, as we would share with excitement, you don't have to live like this, you don't have to work like this, you don't have to be broke like this. Freedom isn't a state of mind, it's a place too.
That part.
Right. It has to be intentional. It has to be intentional.
Yeah.
We've probably gotten more from friends and associates than from family. And that's probably, again, because we've kind of kept it tight in the family conversation. Aunts and uncles and cousins, I'm really not chasing their thoughts and feelings about it. I mean, it is what it is. With friends, when we started our page, everybody's like, y'all moved to Mexico? And I was like, no, we live down the street.
We're still
here. We didn't go, but I mean, it was, and again, I grew up on National Geographic. And so I understand the misinformation of the world outside of the U.S. I understand it. I mean, there's a great lesson and information I received from that resource. But everybody in Africa was undressed. Everybody in Mexico was grimy. Everybody in Indonesia was sitting on the streets eating worms. And
crazy.
And the cultural things that are involved in those processes, the freedom involved, and they are breaking out people's mindset out of the good looks like
Right.
is what the challenge has been more than anything. And people say, and the concept of I can move when I'm 65.
Right.
The
Right.
struggle
Right.
of, well, my kids won't have their grandparents, and I was just like, you all, my young adult children, they don't turn their computers off. They literally, I tell them they sleep with everybody because I mean they go to bed with everybody on the screen. So
Right.
there's no mystery anymore. We're always here, and
Right.
and getting them to find that free space, getting
Right.
them to understand that there's a freedom and life is big. I mean, Mexico blew my mind. And
Right.
I thought I was progressive.
Right.
And it blew my mind. I wasn't prepared. So
Right.
I understand
There is a distinction, though, that now that we're having this discussion, my Black friends had the, what you doing? Why you doing that? Do you have to do that? And people of other ethnicities were like, well, yeah, because I know this person and I've thought about doing it too. And
pretty much
Right.
why it took you so long.
yeah,
Right. 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 I have
that
a
was
lot of that too.
Well, here's the thing, and you guys are in that profession, but when you're in a toxic relationship, especially for Black women who are being beaten, when you're in the United States and they're treating you this way, it's hard to say goodbye to someone when you're in a Stockholm kind of situation where you're a captor.
It's like the devil that you know
Yeah,
is better than the devil you don't know.
So when you're fed a meal of propaganda, as our Exodus Life said that of the United States, saying from Mexico's standpoint, cartel, drugs, they're rapists, they're criminals. You sit there and go, oh no, I'm not going to go there. But you don't know. And everybody we have come in contact with here are absolutely fantastic. I have not met one Mexican person that has treated me badly at all. And listen, I don't sit around driving in my car going, there's a cop, and get scared. They just drive by.
Right.
There's a cop stand up at one of the shopping centers here, and the police officers are helpful.
Right.
They're there to help and guide. They're not there to harass and give you a hard time.
I feel safe
Yes.
here in Mexico. And when we watch the news, particularly we watch the news and we keep in touch and keep abreast of everything going on back in the States. When I hear about another mass shooting,
So they're up to 94, 95 mass shootings.
What the
And this is
heck?
March 1st. I mean, that's ridiculous.
So it's like, you want to tell me about cartels? Excuse me.
Right.
I can go to the grocery store. I can go to take my kids to the mall to go to the movies and not
And the
feel
little thing that people
scared.
don't know, and I mentioned it before, is that their
About
gun
the
laws,
guns.
the guns here. And the only gun store here in this country is in Mexico City. And it takes an act of God
basically.
for you to get a firearm.
Yeah.
And you cannot take it out of your home unless you can give proof that you have a business that requires that kind of protection. So you don't see people running around here with weapons, shooting up everything and shooting people up. That's why you don't have these mass shootings here, is because of that. And it's a great thing.
But listen, the reality is, if you hang and run in cartel circles and do cartel-y type stuff, you're going to have problems.
Right.
If you don't hang in cartel circles and don't do cartel-y type stuff,
Right.
child, please.
They ain't even checking for us.
Right. So Holly and Sean, how did you guys, how did folks take the news? Thailand. I mean, Mexico, Thailand.
Right.
So probably a couple of years ago, we started easing my parents into the idea that we will be leaving to move abroad, and we're not 100% sure where. So we just kind of like eased them into it. And every once in a while would kind of say something, but we didn't have a set date. And then finally last year we said, okay, we are looking into Mexico. And then, Mexico didn't work out for us. So we just kind of stayed silent. But then January 1st, we had a conversation and we knew it was Thailand. a few days later is when we found out that my dad had been in the hospital for a week.
Wow. Yeah.
And then the next week, Sean was laid off from his job.
Wow.
Just
So like you talked about,
Shutting doors.
shutting doors. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because we have a video that goes more into detail. But when Sean called me that day and said, "Hey, I lost my job," I was like, this is amazing. Like, we could go now.
Right. I know, right?
We were so happy. I was
Yeah.
like, meet me at our favorite restaurant. And we were so excited.
Celebrate! I just lost my job, y'all.
I was chuckling and laughing when they came and told me. They were like, you know, my HR came in and my boss came in. When they told me, I just kind of laughed, and they just
You're like, thanks. Thank you.
I told my boss, I was like, I was going to tell you that we're going to leave within a year anyway. So this just makes it more of a confirmation that we're going to go ahead and do what we got to do now to get up out of
For the fuel.
Yeah.
Because we just kind of picked an arbitrary date. So January 1st, when we said, hey, let's do Thailand, we said, when do we want to move? We said, let's do January 15th of 2024, because that'll give us a year to do all the things that we need to do. And then the next week when he got laid off, we're like, well, we can make all those things happen a lot sooner, right?
Yeah.
Because they say that what's the saying? Like, activities expand to the time that you allow them to, right? So if you say, I'm going to do X, Y, Z in a year, you'll take a whole daggone year to do it. But if your back is up against the wall or an opportunity is like right there in your face, and you know, we knew, we were like, there is no bigger sign than this right now that he has lost his job out of nowhere. When every single day since January 1st, we're like, are we going to make it a year? Oh my gosh, can we really stay one more year in the United States? Gosh, is there any way we could go sooner? And then it was like,
it just happened.
We have no reason to be here now because his job. And he, like you, he was sitting at home working for a year and a half online during COVID with amazing productivity levels. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, you can't do that job from home anymore. And so what that meant is when we found out my dad was in the hospital, of course we wanted to drop everything and go, but we couldn't because of his job. So we're sitting there angry and frustrated. Like, how is it that we can't leave and go see my dad in a time where we really want to be with him because of this stupid job?
Right. No, I want to show you guys this. I'm going to try to show. Let's see if we can do this. I'm going to bring this on because I really wanted to get your impression about what. Let's see. How do I do this? I'm not sure. But anyway, what I wanted to show you. I don't know if you guys have heard about this Twitter executive named Esther Crawford. Esther Crawford was. Oh, hang on. The share screen. Is that it? Share screen. Is that it right there? No, that's not it. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. She is an executive that worked for Twitter. I don't know if you guys can see if it's about to pop up. This is an article that was in the New York Post, just published this past weekend. Esther Crawford. Now, I don't know if you guys remember when Elon Musk was talking about if you don't work, 80 hours a week, you are, y'all might as well get out of here because we want you to go hard. We want this extreme work type situation here in Twitter and all this kind of stuff. And Esther Crawford was one of those people who was all in on this whole thing. As a matter of fact, hold on, let's see if I can show you this. If it will it switch over to the screen? I want to show you this too, because she was one of those persons who really had this kind of you got to do what you got to do kind of mentality, and all about working these crazy hideous hours and trying to be all that she could be and do everything for Twitter, right? Well, guess what happened to Miss Thing? I mean, even to the point. Let me show you guys this picture. She's sleeping on the floor, y'all, at work, sleeping on the floor because she it's like taking a nap and then get back up and go back to work. Really?
Yeah, that's not in existence.
What is Stephanie?
She got fired. She came into work, tried to log in, and realized she and her whole team that y'all just been let go.
Whoa.
You just been fired. Thank you for your service. Oh, not even thank you for your service. Goodbye.
Right.
I truly believe what Stephanie Perry says.
Them jobs ain't loyal.
Jobs ain't loyal. We're trying to give them 6 weeks, 8 weeks notice. We want to train the people. We want to talk. I was like, do they give us that kind of notice when they're going to let us go?
There's no 2 weeks.
So the way Angie
this is a perfect validation that they had basically gave me. It took 5 minutes for them to let me know that I'm done.
Gone, left, bye.
So that right there just lets me know. They should let everybody know that if you want to go.
right.
Because they'll replace you within a day if they have to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The way Angie always put it to me is it's a street profession that they're in. And
You a paid hoe.
You
That's
a
what it is. You are a paid whore.
right.
You will be replaced tomorrow.
Right.
Okay? Don't get it twisted.
Right.
I mean, we can try to think that we live in an era where there's such loyalty and I'm going to reward you for working hard. And even if you do, you may get a little plaque or maybe a clock. But that's a clock is not worth
No, it's
or
not.
a plaque is not worth me giving up my life or my dreams because I will have a replacement. Trust and believe.
Oh, for sure.
The minute that the chair is probably not even cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still warm.
And the chair is still warm. You will have a replacement for me.
My last day was June 17th last year, and God kept putting in my spirit that this job was going to end.
Yeah.
And so in October of last year, that contract that I was on, they gave him a notice on the 15th of October that
you're ending at the end of the month.
And that was it. You're done. Boom, gone. And then you're having to scramble to find another job. They don't give you any severance. There's nothing. You're done out by.
Right.
So it was confirmation for me that this is over for me. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
I need to find something if I continue to work in the future that's totally remote that I can do in the freedom and out of my office.
So that's a good segue. So for you, was that the straw that broke the camel's back?
It was a combination. It was the housing situation and that, because it became very much no joy going into work, driving 35 miles one way, get to work, and then having to deal with situations there and then turn around and leave.
Yeah.
The first part of that contract was booty. And then I was blessed with 2 really great supervisors.
You had some good supervisors.
Which made it easier, but then having a conversation with the program manager and having conversations with her, she was fantastic. She's a fantastic person, and she's been a blessing. And she's very cool. And so was my immediate supervisor. They made it a lot easier.
Yes.
However, the joy of being a system admin, even though I love technology, I love doing that kind of thing, it just was no longer fun for me. And it wasn't that enjoyable, and it was time to go. And God was like, I'm making it uncomfortable. How you like those thorns in your tail? How you like this? It's rough in there, isn't it? I'm taking the feathers away. It's time for you to fly the coop. And that's what it was.
Time to go. You can hear that. You can hear that little God comes in a whisper. He's like,
and she can tell you that it happened to me once before, and I wasn't listening. So what happened was God came in and he came in, and just like Sean, I knew it. You could feel it. I walked in one morning. The director was there. The HR guy was there. Called in my colleague, and he came back out and he goes, "Lamar, it's nice working with you." I said,
"Here you go, lay off." Yep.
I'm next. And so
You had been there how many years?
I had been with, I'm gonna say it on here.
Go on.
I was employed by Booz Allen for 24 years.
Raggedy Tails. No, sorry.
24 years. And they said that they no longer had work for me.
Even though
we were actively doing upgrades to hardware, operating systems, and things like that.
and they were still hiring other system administrators in other parts of
And they hired someone to replace me and the guy that they had let go with one younger person. But hear me clearly. You talk about booty, 24 years, 0 severance. I got nothing.
Wow, are you serious?
A goose egg. I got nothing.
Oh.
Nothing. But that was because I wasn't listening, because it had become more and more uncomfortable. They put really horrible bosses over top of us. They were terrible.
Right.
And to the point where I was like, why is this happening to me? And God was trying to tell me, dude, you need to leave. And one of my buddies, the DJ of our wedding, told me, he said, Jose said, Lamar, he said, God had to kick you out of there. He said, because if he had not kicked you out, you would have still been there.
You would have though.
Yeah, I would have been there. But I learned my lesson. It wasn't going to happen the second time.
Yeah. See, yeah, I didn't need those kind of, you are a paid whore. You are, and I was clear. I understood the assignment. I'm here to collect a check and I go home after that.
They have no loyalty. What's that?
No. What really made the difference for us was when we had already started getting things in order. And so when we can see these not being employed as opportunities because we have set aside an emergency fund.
Right.
Because we don't have consumer debt. And so we were in place. There was a time in our early in our marriage when that wasn't the case. When you're literally living like most Americans, paycheck to paycheck. And so it is a sign of alarm. Not only do you have your things together, you know where to go for things to level out. And I think that's what this whole, is it a crisis or is it a rebirth? That's really where it is, or a reboot. That's where I think this conversation can have joy.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, and I say this intentionally, men in general, our identities are in our work.
Yeah.
And as Black men, our whole identity is in our work. I got tired of living my life in hindsight, seeing it, I should have back then. My educational training is behavioral sciences. From the time I was a kid, I wanted to be a psychologist, and I went to college to be a psychologist. And I was in my senior year going, I don't really want to be a psychologist. But you realize, okay, my folks paid money for me to be here. You go out, you do that. I did 10, 12 years, almost 15 years of behavioral science. I dug my way out of it, and I saw all that nonprofit work and all that low quality work and you're always getting laid off as a part of the process. I thought it was a part of the process.
Wow.
I got out of behavioral science, moved into HR, went to work for a city government, and we all got laid off because they couldn't take care of they bankrupted.
It was the largest bankruptcy in 2011.
And we spent almost 6 years chronically unemployed.
Underemployed.
Because I thought that was where I was supposed to be. And that was what I chased.
Right.
When I moved into this culinary work, when I decided I was going to do work in culinary and realized the breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Of doing something that was my hands made this. And I did this because I was doing it for me. Everything I create. But I still did not learn to do it for me.
Right.
I was and here at 50, looking in hindsight, going, this belongs to me. This is mine. I own this. I created this. I I'm trying to take control of it, and
Right.
and realizing that the resources here don't always allow me as a Black man the opportunity. And so I still want to be in what makes me feel joyful.
Right.
Yeah.
Where can I go and do that
Right.
without having to pay the taxes on it? And I
Right.
don't mean on my check. I'm talking about my time, my energy,
Your life.
my family relationship, my health. I'm tired of paying those taxes on something that everybody else over there, the privilege, get to do with
All the
joy,
time.
with
Right.
joy, without having to ask permission to do it.
I stopped Herman. I was watching Holly. I mean, what are you? I'm trying to remember. You guys know what that's.
The
I
end of
was
life.
I was watching you all because that's what we do. We watch other Black couples and their move abroad journey. And I paused and I said, "You got to hear this. You got to hear her talk about Sean and the scuba diving." Do you want to share what you guys shared on your channel
That was
about?
impactful to me. I appreciate that. I watched the conversation with you all had with Terry this weekend, and I appreciate that conversation.
Are you referring to Sean's Mime movie?
That too, but it was his dream of doing scuba diving.
Oh, the scuba diving.
So this all goes back to the pandemic, 2020. That was probably the best year that we had as a family. I mean, we got to do so much. Like, we got these bikes hanging up on the wall back here. We got a kayak. We're getting a paddle board, and just something. I'm from the West Coast, so I was always around water and stuff. And I don't know, just one thing just came to my mind. I was just like, I want to try scuba diving because I love water. We have the springs here, as you know, in Florida, there's a lot of springs everywhere.
Mhm.
And I want to get into scuba diving. So I just took a course. And from there, it took off. From there, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a scuba diver instructor. I want to be out in the water.
Wow.
And
Right.
to me, it's a place where I'm away from all of the BS. I don't have to hear from nothing. Everybody's drama. I'm away from it. I'm underwater and I'm enjoying myself, and I'm a passenger in a different environment, and I'm enjoying it. So that's what I've been doing. I have 3 certifications under my belt now, and I just want more to be a dive instructor. So another reason why we chose Thailand is because that is one of the diving capitals of the world.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of islands, and I'm ready to go like tomorrow. Like, I'm ready to go. Yes. And this one here, she's been inspired as well into doing it, and she also wants to become a scuba diver. But Holly has done a lot. It's crazy to think that just a few years ago she couldn't necessarily swim.
Not necessarily. I could not swim.
That gentle love. You see that?
Right.
Gentle
That's so nice, right? Like, no, I could not swim.
Yeah.
So I had a goal of entering into a triathlon, and I could run and I could bike, but I was like, how am I going to do a triathlon? I don't know how to swim. So I went, learned how to swim, changed my life. And I said, I would really love to, I'm also a holistic health coach. So I thought I would love to combine my love of helping people get healthy plus this joy of learning to swim. So I would love to host Black women learn to swim retreats. So currently, currently working on that. And how Thailand also came up is we were talking about, so Sean wants to take people out scuba diving. We could take people out kayaking. We are going to do the health piece, the fitness piece on these retreats. And we said, where should our first retreat be? We said, let's do Bali or Thailand. And then I was like, well, so on January 1st, we were setting our goals for the year. What are we really going to buckle down on? It was like, we are going to host a retreat in Bali or Thailand or both. And we thought, why go over there? Because you know, when you get over there, you're going to want to see the Great Wall of China. You're going to want to see Singapore. There's so many
Right.
things we want to see. We're like, well, we're not going to want to come back and then try to keep flying back and forth. Let's just make that where we move.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. So that's
Nice.
just
Nice.
having everything involved with water. So that's us, water.
Okay.
so that's,
But
that's
you know, I find it interesting for us. I actually find it a blessing because for our generation, when I look back at my mom's generation and even my grandparents' generation, they did not have that luxury,
Mm-hmm.
No.
you know, to be able to even think about,
Mm.
what do I want to do? I mean,
Right.
my grandmother was a domestic. My grandfather had a farm on my mother's side. And they didn't have the luxury. My dad didn't have that luxury. He had to drop out of high school when he was, you know, in his 9th grade year to help take care of his mom and his siblings. And so my dad worked 3 jobs his whole life. He never had the luxury of being able to even ask the question, what do I really even want to do? And so for all of us Black, all over the diaspora, but particularly African Americans, I would love for a movement to begin for us to even just ask the question, not be afraid to ask the question, what do I really want? And to take some of this privilege, some of us we have worked hard.
Yeah.
We've gone to school. We've gotten our degrees. We have chased the corporate ladder, many of us, and we've been successful, et cetera, et cetera. But sometimes in the chasing of that ladder, in the chasing of that go get it type of Black excellence kind of drive, you lose yourself in the process, and you stop asking the question, what do I even like? Do I even like this job? Sometimes we get stuck. I gotta get up and make them donuts because I gotta keep them lights on.
Right.
But do I even like donuts? I mean, you know, do I even like donuts? Maybe I like a bagel, or you know, maybe I'm dairy free and I don't I don't do gluten. So it's a shift of our mindset that allows us to even be able to ask the question and even get into what does retirement look like? What does a life outside of the United States even, is there some possibility? I had a conversation with a family member of yours that back in you remember that?
Yeah.
Back in 2015 that shook me to my core because I was asking him, so what do you know, when you retire? He's single, and at that time he was in his 50s. He was in his 50s, 2015. Is that right?
Yeah, late
50s, late
yeah.
50s. And never been married, doesn't have any children. What does retirement look like for you? And I just was assuming he was going to say something like, yeah, I'm going to go, you know, I can see myself in some cabin in the woods and, you know, sitting back in peace and quiet and going hunting or going fishing or something like that. He was like, no, I'm probably just going to work till I croak, you know, and
Like,
I was like,
no.
what? Crazy. Crazy concept to me.
That is a male. Our identity is tied to our employment.
Yeah.
It is not just what we do; it's who we are. We work those jobs, even if we didn't start working those jobs with joy. We work those jobs till it becomes our personality.
Right.
And so when you're telling us to retire, you're telling us to die. And a part of what we had to change was we had to change what retirement meant for us.
Yes.
But this is my question to you, Herman. How much of this is tied to a cultural thing? Because my mother-in-law asked me a question when Angie and I had gotten engaged, and we're talking, and my mother-in-law asked me, what is men's work and what is women's work. And I'm sitting there going, what? And I thought to myself, there's no such thing. And she was talking about basically around the house, but
She was checking them out. Like,
yeah, I grew up in a household where my mother taught me how to iron, wash clothes, cook, dust, vacuum, all that stuff. And it goes as far as in our culture, when it comes to kids, this is why we're so broken. If you watch the movie Claudine and the theories behind separating Black men from the households in order for somebody to get social services and Social Security and get food welfare. This thing is deep because our young men out here are planting seeds, but not being good farmers. They're out here planting seeds and they're not out here watering, feeding, weeding, and growing these children to what they're supposed to be in life.
Right.
And they think that it's being a punk if they're out here doing diaper changes and baths. That's not punk, that's being a father.
Right.
My father said to me one time, he says, son, so what you doing? He says, oh, I said, Angie went out, with her friends and stuff. He said, so you at home babysitting? I said, what are you talking about babysitting?
Babysitting, that's your kid.
I said, these are my kids. This is called parenting. I said, so he comes from a generation where men didn't watch their kids while the wives went out. They didn't, but this is called parenting. And so there's a broken piece, I believe, in the Black community and African American especially, that has been, we've been socially, we've done dirty over years from slavery till now, that we think that, oh, we have to, be a breadwinner. I don't have a problem with being a breadwinner and providing for my family, but I don't want to do it at the expense of my health and my happiness.
Right.
And so I want to be able to, like Sean, be able to do something for an occupation that doesn't stress me out.
Yep.
It doesn't cause me to. I've lost weight, and I'm and it's still happening, but because of the lack of stress of being here in Querétaro, I have lost weight. I feel better. And there's a bakery around the corner, and I go there
every day.
Not quite every day.
Okay,
every other day.
We're actually getting there, huh?
But the thing about it is that the way they, foods are done here, I'm not picking up weight. They're not as sweet.
I don't feel the level of stress. And stress kills.
For sure.
When I look back on we documented our whole process of moving abroad. And so if you haven't subscribed to our channel, take the time and hit that subscribe button, because you really want to check it out. But in looking back at those videos and looking back at that time of living in the States, I see literally the stress on my face. It's in my pores. It's, I just look at that and like, wow, you were in a bad place, in a bad situation. Mm-hmm. And so for us, when we were thinking about moving to Mexico, first of all, I begged him, where? Because in terms of retirement, I knew that because Lamar loves to build and race RC cars, that was going to be something that has to be in the equation, a place to be able to do that. Because in my mind, the envisioning of what does retirement look like, him being able to go do the hobby that he loves had to be in there. And I'm sure for you and Holly and Sean, it's got to be a place near some water. I got to have that. And Herman, I know you're going to be cooking up a storm, and I can't wait to eat. Right. But I really had to imagine, what do you want that life to look like? And I don't think many of us in the African American community even have the chance to stop running on that hamster wheel, right, to ask, what do I want my retirement to even look like? Right. Mm-hmm. What do I want to come around to? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, right now upstairs, we had gotten it started, a company called Fig Basket, and it's an apparel decoration company. And,
one of my hobbies.
Right. And we have a
My
cutter,
embroidery
a
machine.
professional embroidery machine, a heat
Gotta
press.
have it.
And so, I mean, we can do shirts, hats, things like that. And I can run the embroidery machine. I'm not
Yeah,
a,
you getting all right. You getting
I-
all right.
I can, I'm not an artist. I don't design or anything like that, but I can run machinery. I can take things apart and put them back together.
What
and
does retirement
look like?
Yeah.
And so I can do that along with anything as far as any kind of
Yeah.
maybe help desk, system administration online, remotely, but I'm winding down. And so I'm looking for things that make me happy, that are fun. As they say, you know, all work and no play
Yeah.
make Jack a dull boy.
I had to ask the question again.
Yeah.
What do I even like to do?
Right.
You know, sometimes you get up, go to work, come home, go to bed. Get up, go to work, come home, go to bed.
Right.
You know, in that grind, that hamster grind, you lose part of yourself. And it that's why I say this felt like a little bit, mostly reboot, but there was a little element of
Crisis.
a crisis kind of feeling, because I was like, what do I even enjoy doing that's just completely for me? Because even as a mom, we lose ourselves in our kids. We get wrapped up in they stuff, and these kids,
Yeah.
we get wrapped up in their stuff, and we look up, and then they're headed off to college, and they're, you know, doing their thing, and we're empty nesters, and now wondering, what do I even like? And then, heaven forbid,
Who are you?
what's your name? You know, you're right. And so that it was really important for me to take some time to rediscover what it is I like, what it is I enjoy, who the essence of me is, and then take that and say, all right, now what do I want to do with all that Black girl magic, you know? And then really be able to say, all right, well, how can we make this a life that we do all the time?
Part of that conversation when Danica came with the fire movement stuff and our rich journey and their program, and I said, it hit me. I said, okay, we need to first reevaluate what is retirement.
Rebrand. It needs to be rebranded.
Right. Retirement has always been, I'm at the end of my working and now I'm winding down. And I was like, I want to stop being under somebody else's control. I want to retire from capitalism. I want to retire from colonialism. I want to retire. I want to retire into my decision making.
Sure.
And that changed everything. We spent 2021 literally burning ourselves out because we started 2021 with, we're going to pay off these student loan debts. We're going to look them in the face. We're going to jump on them. And what debt that we thought we were going to finish paying off next year, we paid off in 13 months.
Wow.
Nice. But we put in 7 jobs between us worth of hustle to do so. And Danica has a video that I'm going to ask her to post that she took of herself. My baby was burned up.
Yeah.
My baby was burned up. And she came to me at the top of last year and said, she said, I'm taking some time off. And she said it to it cautiously because I know she thought I was going to freak. And I was like, it's been time.
Wow.
And she took off 4 months. And I regained my wife. I regained my friend. And those said to me, retirement is not, let's burn this out and then at the end
left.
You know, we
there's some candle left to be able to pick up.
And the exhale is that last breath of life. No, I want to exhale in freedom. I want to exhale into and then another deep breath of fresh air. And so we had to rethink, rebrand what retirement is. So our retirement goal is life. Our retirement goal is to be, you know, I'm looking at all these young people in the gym, you know, tighten it up, and I want to be able to fight my grandkids when they better not have any kids no time soon. But
We
when
didn't
they
ask you for that just yet. But we
I want to be able to, you know, knock them out a little bit and not be, you know, wore out running around the front
Right.
yard.
Exactly.
And because my kids are in their early 20s, I don't expect any grandkids anytime soon. So with that in mind, giving them some space to live their lives and then decide to have grandkids. If they wait 10 years, in 10 years, I'm 60.
right.
Right.
I don't want to be burnt because I just stopped working.
I'll be 61 next month. So, I mean, I'm trying to build up so I can have a better life, just like you, Herman. I'm trying to get in there. So I'm breathing better. I don't have the anxiety that I had when I was in the United States. I feel so much better here.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to all the good things that God has placed before us, because I'm doing my best to be obedient and do the things that is required and be the best person and be the best husband and best dad that I can be.
Oh.
And so with the kids, it's getting them prepared and so they can prosper.
Get out. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
And be prosperous and also be healthy in the way that they handle life. I mean, our son is one that, you know,
Go back to the States
now.
for college in the fall. Jesus, help me.
Right. Don't know why, but he wants to attend an HBCU.
Okay, that part's fine.
Yeah, you know, but just being there, it's scary there for a young Black man. So
I feel like I just got him out, snatched him out of the jaws of
right,
you know, out of the America, and now you want to go back into the mess.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I feel you on that, Herman. I mean, I want to be free and breathe. I want to exhale, inhale, and be joyful in doing it and being free doing it and not be beholden to somebody who's pulling the strings and all of a sudden, like they did what happened to me too, like they did to Sean, and come in and say, "You done?"
Yeah.
Here's
your papers.
And so I like Sean, when I walked out the door that day, I called Angela and told her that,
But I saw that coming. I knew it was coming. The writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. So when he called, I was like, and I had said, and I've been telling him, get your resume right. Get your stuff together. Cause I put my finger in the way. I feel it coming. Yeah. I know how these folks are. And sure enough.
Yeah, there's another half to that story and how God provided after that.
He's always amazing.
He made things real clear on how he was going to do this. I can give you this one testimony. I got a top secret security clearance back in 2005 because the NSA did not want me to, or any of us support staff, to be in a Booz Allen server room without a clearance. Now,
top secret without just the plain clearance. Right.
Now, there was nothing in those server rooms, those Novell servers
that required
a top secret clearance.
Right.
What happened was there was a server failure and the security person had to open the door and stay with me that night.
Yeah, because if you have a secret.
But she asked me at midnight, "Are we done yet?" I said, "No, we still have to recover the hard drive, rebuild the system, and then restore the data." So she had to call a colleague to come in and sit with me for the rest of the night. That very next day, she took me to the office for the guy that does security clearances and asked him, said, "Listen, what do we need to do to get this man a secret clearance?" And he said, "A secret?" He said, "Why don't we just go ahead and get him a top secret? It requires the same amount of investigation."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, y'all want to do that? Fine. Okay, cool." Well, fast forward to 2016, I get laid off. And a friend of mine, somebody I grew up with, worked in the cleared space, and I needed a job. He told me at my mother's funeral the year before in 2015, "Let me know if something goes down, because that's what they do."
See, I told you, God was already saying,
I didn't know I needed that top secret clearance, but in order to get that job, I had to have that top secret clearance, and I got that job like that.
Already hooked it up.
God had it handled
Right.
and knocked it out. I was just sitting there like this.
Wow. It was beautiful.
But on top of that, here's the other thing. In 2014, I needed a CompTIA Security Plus. I'm saying, for what? What are we doing this for? For what? We're not. Well, in this job, I needed the CompTIA Security Plus. So I had both credentials. I had the top secret security clearance and I had the CompTIA Security Plus certification. God had that locked.
Yeah, which is a beautiful thing.
So
The beautiful thing. Traveling in the diaspora. Wait a minute. What you had said? What
she said there are HBCUs outside. What?
Say what you said? And it's in the Virgin Islands. Wait a minute. I might have to tell Ben, hold up, wait a minute. You may need to revisit your plan, son, please.
Right.
Then I can get to the Bahamas and be able to live my island life dreams. But but thanks for that shout out. Yeah. But listen, guys, we don't want to keep you guys. We have been on here for an hour and a beautiful hour and a half.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. And if you have not checked out H&D Abroad, we want you to subscribe to their channel.
Yeah.
And then go, while you in the subscribing mood, go on over to the Island Adventure, go on over to there, subscribe there. And of course, you have to come back here for Lamar and Angela. Come on and subscribe to our channel. Hit the link below, give us a like, and listen, this conversation needs to continue. So if you feeling some kind of way, or if you resonated with what we've talked about this evening here, leave a comment down below, because we really want to inspire other people to have that conversation, to really look at, I can do a midlife reboot. And I like your word, D, rebirth. I like that. Yeah. I like that too.
Yeah.
I like that too. Reboot, rebirth.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because in our abilities to just manage our day-to-day life or things of that nature, we still even have the ability to direct which way we want to go.
Right.
And not be afraid to have that conversation and make those changes, and not be afraid to do it.
Well, you know, as it says in Scripture, walk by faith and not by sight.
Okay, I thought I was a preacher. Go.
Y'all got the divinity degree.
But listen, we want to thank you guys.
Yes.
Thank you both for joining us this evening. This has been a fantastic conversation.
Yes, thank you
for all this. This has been fantastic. Yes.
Fantastic conversation.
It has. Yes, we wish you all well in Thailand. We wish you, Holly and Sean, well in Thailand. We look forward to seeing.
Let us know when you get there, because so that way we can come and go to Thailand. Because I want to get on that.
And Herman and Dee, when you're coming,
when you come to Mexico,
come say hello. Yeah, here. As a matter of fact, we're sitting in our Airbnb space right now, recording this video, but it doesn't look like.
Yeah, it don't look like that.
We'll have our reservations online. We'll be there.
So
indeed. Well, thank you guys. Thank you all for, and wow, we see y'all in the comments. We see y'all in the comments. We love the fact that you guys drop by and drop some hints, and well, Exodus Life, we see you blowing it up. Yes. Check out, subscribe to our Exodus Life as well. We want as African American representation matters. And so we have plenty of folks who are melanin challenged who are out here doing the thing and showing their videos, but we want to have more of us, more Black couples who are out here showing that you can live this life. You can actually have a better life abroad. It's possible.
Yes, and you can too break the cycle of abuse.
Very much.
Of
the colonizer. Oh, here we go. We're not doing it. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And we say good evening and good night to everybody. Bye.
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 Thanks.